Okay, this is the back of the LCD panel, and then this little part here is what powers the backlight that lights it up, and this controls all the video. This is two composite video inputs, which is an extended cable here that goes out so that we have the ability to plug in things like a VCR or a camera. Then we have a USB port, which has an extension cable as well, so that we can plug in a USB thumb drive to show pictures or whatever. Next we have audio, just for like speakers or headphones. VGA, which we're not using. HDMI, again, we have another cable so that we can plug in a source if we need to that way. Then this will have power going out, hooking up to the light switch and the DC jack on the back of it. Then we have these two cables here. This one goes to a light to tell you when it's on, and an IR sensor so that we can control it with a remote control, so we don't have to try to push buttons on it while it's finished. But we do have some buttons to turn it on and off as well. If we recording, we're going to stick each of these little boards in place with some double-sided foam tape. Something non-conductive to go on the non-conductive surface. I'll do the same for this one. The panel came out of an old laptop, and this control board and with the light backlight board here came as part of a kit off of eBay. You just search the model number of the actual panel, which is usually on one of these little labels here on the back of it, and you'll be able to find these control boards for like, I don't know, 10 bucks, 20 bucks.
What we did was made sure to leave just a little space between the back board and that the bottom board under the monitor, which allows room for the cables to pass through without being pinched. So I had this old cooler pad for a laptop that broke. It doesn't work anymore, and the motor's already been taken out of it. So what I'm going to do is remove this mesh part here, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But I think this might answer a little bit of a concern we had. So it's pretty easy. It just has like, okay, so I got it off and I had to clean it up because it had a lot of dirt and dust and cat hairs and so forth on it. But you can see the only thing attaching this screen to this piece of plastic is just some, it's just where they bent some little tabs that come off of the metal itself over. So all I got to do now is unbend those and it should pop right off. So I have some pliers and I'm going to try, let's see. Well, here's one to start with. I'll just try that and just see how that works. Oh yeah, it just bends right up. Look at that. Okay, so that shouldn't take but a minute, huh? Oh, look at that. Just comes right loose. Look at that. Oh yeah. I'm doing it one-handed. That's been probably the easiest thing on this project so far. Oh, lovely. That one don't want to pop out. There it goes. Oh, look at that. And we'll just put the plastic aside. And there we go. We've got a screen. Well, I've got to dry it off, and then I should be able to cut it And what I'm going to do is just put it right in here, and hopefully, because it'll be under these, it's going to block the sight of the cords from the front. So now I've slid everything out of the frame, and I have it in pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it outside and paint it as well while we're waiting for the back to dry.
Okay, so we just soldered red and black wires onto the DC jack on the back of it. This will provide the power for the whole display. We have ground, of course, and our positive. We just soldered it on. Now we're going to add some heat shrink tubing just to help clean it up a little bit, as well as protect it to make sure these connections are not going to touch each other.
What are those for? The toggle and the thing? What are?
Well, this is the power input jack. This is where the power is going to come in for the whole thing. We're going to have a toggle switch here, which will turn the light on at the bottom afterwards. That'll be a little bit quicker job than soldering this was.
Okay, so these are all the parts. They're all painted now, and so this is the backboard here, and he's soldered on the controls that we're going to have on the outside. So the reason that it's only black around these edges like this is because once it's in place, and the screen is in front of it, most of that won't show. It'll have the screen in front of it. So that's really all we have to do then, is just put this together. And you can see on the back, that's the on-off switch for the light. So that actually goes here. Okay. And that's the input for the tower. And it's going to go in, slide in just like that. So we've already drawn lines for the screen to fit in. So once we get this all put together, you'll have a better idea how it works. Okay. So one of the things we did was paint the inside here a silvery color, and just ordinary silver paint that you can buy at the store. A little piece there that's not dry. Most of it's black, which will cut down on glare and make the picture really sort of pop out. And this is the part. This has a nice hole here. That's where the pole is going to come in. And we've painted the inside of this one silver also. So this whole little compartment here will be silver once we put it all together. And then the top, which is black. If you remember that little screen I showed you that we're gonna put inside, there you go. We've painted that silver as well. So that's going to go back behind here. So this whole compartment here will be silver. While I had it apart like this, went ahead and I laid it on some plastic. You can just get some ordinary plastic. I don't know if you can see. You can read that right there. That's what we're using in here, is an acrylic sheet, and it looks kind of blurry because if you've never bought this kind of plastic before, they put like a peelable plastic on there to protect it, so it's actually clear. And so when we were cutting it, I cut in this little lip right here. You can just kind of see a little lip in there, and that's where this plastic is just going to slide right in, like so. And then the screen. Be careful with all these dangly bits. But the screen will just slide in like so. And you can see why it's a good idea to go ahead and stick those pieces into place. Just slides right into that slot. So that's how it goes together for now. Okay, so now we have the top put on there. We have the computer in, the front screen. But before we can put the bottom on, we have to do this second piece here. It's going to cover some of our controls and just going to provide a neat little feature here with a light in it. But I don't want you to be able to see too clearly through. It's supposed to just make sort of a soft glow. So, because once you remove that plastic backing, it's actually clear. What we're going to do is use some of this frosted glass spray. So, we'll see how that works out. So we've cut these to size and painted them nicely. And so the next thing is to just tighten these in here. We actually had to wallow out these holes a little bit so the screws would fit. No big deal. Tiny little screws. Hey, get in there. There we go. And now we're almost ready to put the last of the items. You can see that he's attached the switches there. Now you don't have to get in and use those. We've set it up where it has a remote control, which actually came with this little kit that we bought, but you can open the back panel up and just manually push the switches, which is good in case you lose the remote or you lose the batteries or something like that.
Okay, so to power our little picket sign display that we're going to do, we're going to run off battery power, obviously, because we're going to be walking around, so you're not going to run a 500-foot extension cord. So, we got a battery that goes in one of those little Tykes cars that you kids will ride around in. They just sell those off the shelf at Walmart. To charge it up, I didn't want to buy the charger that goes to it for a couple of reasons. One being they wanted too much money for it, so I just went over to the regular automotive section and got one for 20 bucks. So this will charge it up. This is the standard connector it comes with that connects it up. You would have this would go to your battery terminal clamps or some similar connection to your battery. Here I've just wired it in directly to this battery. So I'm going to use the same connection with this little accessory that they sell in the automotive section, meant to go on like your tailgate of your truck where you have the hitch wiring, but it's the exact same connection, and it gives you a cigarette lighter socket, so that way when it's charged up we can plug this into the battery and you will now have portable power. Anything that you can plug into a 12-volt socket in your car. So we have a long 12-volt socket cable to a regular connector that we plug in the back of the monitor. Just like that.
Sweet.
And it powers the whole thing. It's got a nice long cable, so we can throw this in a backpack, have the monitor held up in the hand, and everything's going. And this thing should run for a good 6 to 12 hours depending.
How long does it take to charge?
3 to 5
Hours?
hours.
That is not bad at all.
No.
So basically you can have that all day.
Yeah, you charge this up the night before you go to your event, and then you walk around all day until your feet get tired, and then your battery's dead anyway. and go back home.
And that battery powers both the light in there and the video?
Yep.
Sweet.
Powers the entire device off of this one cable and battery. The whole thing, the light and the display take less than 2 amps. So very easy. Like any of these cables, most of these will be rated up to 2 amps, so that's not a problem. It's less than that. This is a 12 amp hour battery, so if it takes 2 amps, you can get approximately 6 hours off of it.
Now, how come you don't need an inverter or anything?
Because the monitor itself runs on DC power just like what a battery is, as well as the light I put in it is the same kind you'd find in your car. So again, it runs off of 12 volts DC.
So you can't just stick any light bulb in there.
No, you couldn't stick the one from your house in there, for instance. But again, look in the automotive section. The light bulbs are the same price as they would be for the ones for your house. And they're going to be in the size for this that you'd want.
Well, I can't wait. Okay, so now you see the finished product put together with our painted plastic in the front. The lights you can just see, the green and the red there, are, what are those?
Just the signaling lights that the monitor's turning on.
We had to make sure to leave a space in the artwork here on front for the what do you call it, IR signal for the remote,
Which works perfectly through this plexi.
and there you go. There's the beginning of the slideshow, and for a special effect, I think that's kind of cool, having the light in the base of it like that. And it'll be especially great at nighttime. I want to turn the light out and see how it looks in the dark. There you go. We'll flip through some of the slides so people can see it in action. So you could carry this with you at a rally or march or something like that with a battery pack, or you could sit it on a table or something like that for a static display. But we created it for the Science March. And there's actually a pole that screws into the base of it there, and you can just carry it like you would any other, like picket sign or something. And these are just a few of the slides that we've created to be our signs when we go to the Science March. And what's good about this is you can either have it go automatically like it's doing now, or if you think that's too fast or you want to specifically highlight certain slides, you can advance it manually using the remote control. There you go. That's how that's done. Good.